It's March the 6th, and this is your Pacific Palisades Real Estate Market Update. I'm James Respondek with Rodeo Realty, and I've sold hundreds of homes to generations of Palisadians. Here's this week's important market activity. There are 282 listings on the market in the Palisades. Of that, 206 are land listings and 76 are existing homes. 542 properties have sold since the fire. Of that, 416 are land listings, averaging $254 a square foot. And 126 are existing homes, and they've averaged about $5.9 million. There are 42 properties in escrow, 28 are land listings, and 14 are existing homes. So this week's activity, land listings in the alphabet streets, there are 11 active listings. 95 have sold, 4 are in escrow. And just sold, 932 Chautauqua Boulevard. Wow, this sold for $3 million. Started, I think, around 4 a while back. It's a 14,000 square foot lot coming in at $213 a foot. So you can see that average of $290. Now, some of that may be not flat at the very back, but I'd say the majority of that seems flat to me, and it's on the rim. So I think this was a fabulous buy. And just sold, 1035 Chautauqua Boulevard, sold for $2,144, and that's a 7,300 square foot lot coming in at $293 a foot. So right there on the value, the average. And just listed is 15422 Albright Street, a 9,327 square foot lot. So a big lot. It's coming in at $275 or $295 a foot. I love this location because it's Albright, that's the Albright that goes into that cul-de-sac section there. So it's got very little traffic on it. The one thing about this lot is it does back up to the condo complex behind it that will be having some construction back there. So anyway, big lot, very easy to get into the village, so that's great. This week's land activity in the above the Alphabet Street section, 19 active listings right now, 20 have sold, 2 are in escrow, and the average price point in there is about $250 a foot. And just listed, 1256 Monument Street. That is 8,600 square foot lot, and it had a 4,200 square foot house on it. It's listed at $2,200 or $2,195 or $255 a foot. So right there in the value point. This week's activity in land listings in the Via Bluffs, 36 active listings, 63 have sold since the fire, coming in at an average of $300 a foot. Now remember, you've got upper and lower Via Bluffs, so you're going to have a kind of an average of those two. 7 are in escrow, and just sold 562 Via de la Paz. So this would be the upper section. Love Via de la Paz, nice wide street. And that sold for $2,645 or $353 a foot. And just listed 319 Via de la Paz. This had been on the market last year, came back on at $3,320. That's $442 a foot because it's a 7,500 footer. Why is that a little more? Because it's only one lot from the front row there of the front row. It just lost me. Okay, and just sold 538 Via de la Paz, sold for $2,650 or $367 a foot. A 7,500 footer. It had previously had a 5,738 square foot house on it. And also just listed, I love this lot, 757 Via de la Paz, 12,500 square foot lot. Very close to the village. It's on the rim side, so you get some views. Listed, it's kind of spendy. It's $3,995 or $4 million, but comes in at $320 a foot because it's such a huge lot. So you can build a huge house, have a beautiful property there. This week's activity in the Huntington land listings, 10 active listings right now. 33 have sold since the fire, 2 are in escrow, and just sold 790 Alma Real. That's a little over 8,000 square foot lot, sold for $3,045,000 or $378 a foot. So you can see this is a little lower. Why is that? Well, it's a little busier location, a little closer to the village, right at the apex of Alma Real, and I think it's Toyota that goes through there. Just listed 14800 Pampas Ricas. Look at this, 24,600 square foot lot. And it's listed for $7.3 million. Now that's $296 a foot, which seems low. There's a reason for that. This is right at the apex of Pampas Ricas, where you got one side you got Chautauqua, the other side you have Sunset. So kind of a busy spot there, and it's kind of a triangulated lot. But still, you could have a fabulous big property there, put up some walls, landscaping, it'll be beautiful. 726 Chapala has just listed, an 8,000 square footer listed for $4,150, or $515 a foot. So that seems on the high side, right? This week's activity in Rustic Canyon existing homes. We have 5 active listings, 15 have sold since the fire, 1's in escrow, and just sold 643 High Tree Road, sold for $3.4 million. This is about a 12,000 square foot lot with about not a big house, like a 1,600 square foot house on it, older house. And just sold 715 Brooktree Road, sold for $12 million. Wow, it's a 13,000 square foot lot. Why is that? Because this was a famous architect, Ray Cappy's own house. It was very cool. This week's activity in the Riviera existing homes, there are 24 active listings in there, so plenty to choose from in the Riviera, and they're beautiful choices. 28 have sold since the fire, and 3 are in escrow, and just sold 1,300 Monaco. This is Monaco right at the bottom, so it's pretty close to Sunset. In fact, it's right opposite Sunset. Sold for about $8 million. A 5,100 square foot house, had a tennis court, 20,000 square foot lot. So, you know, it's actually a pretty good value. And just listed is 1667 Amalfi. This is an almost 8,900 square foot house built in 2006, an 18,000 square foot lot. This house has beautiful quality. You know, I kind of want to say they don't build houses like this anymore. Well, they can, real custom, but the new ones now just don't seem to have this feeling of solidity and all that. I did like this house, listed at $16 million. All right. This week's activity, we'll go back to the El Medio Bluff land listings. 10 active land listings right now. 25 have sold since the fire. And just sold 701 Wildemar. Sold for $1,565,000. It's a 5,550 square foot lot. It had a smaller house on it. And that came in at $282 a foot, which is right there at the average price for that area, which is $284. This week's activity in the Upper El Medio land listings, 9 active land listings, 12 have sold, and 1 just listed at 1109 Maroney Lane. One of my favorite little streets in that area. It's kind of a sneaky little off the radar street. It's got its own little canyon in there. And this is a, well, it's 15,000, you know, gross. I'm going to say the net flat is probably 2/3 of that, maybe 10,000. And listed at $2,995, call it $3 million. So that's coming in at $300 a foot for the flat, and the average in there is $176. So could be on a little bit on the high side. Let's see what happens. This week's activity in the Marquez Knolls land listings, 45 listings in there. Wow, lots to choose from. 77 have sold. 7 are in escrow. The average price per square foot in there is $176. Ooh, we got some ground to cover here. Look at this. Just listed, 16625 Marquez Terrace, listed for $1,600,000, 7,400 square foot lot. This is at the end of that little cul-de-sac. It's a great spot. I like it. Just sold, 912 Enchanted Way, sold for $1,500,000. It's 12,500 square foot gross. I'm going to guess maybe 60% of that's flat. Let's see, just sold, 16841 Bollinger, sold for $1,440. It's 6,900 square feet. Now that most of that will be flat, okay, and that's had a 1,600 square foot lot on it. It's a house on it. My bad. Just listed, 847 J Conway, listed for 1,325, 98, almost 9,900 square foot lot. Probably 60% of that's flat. Just listed 16847 Bollinger, and that listed for $1,500,000, 6,900 square foot lot. So that's practically, I would say that's practically all flat, and that had a 5,000 square foot house on it. So that's a nice starting point. Just sold, 919 Bienvenida, sold for $1,525, 8,400 square foot lot. I would say most of that was flat. 16624 Pequeño, sold for $1,280. Gross 12, maybe 60% of that's flat. That's a rough estimation there. Just sold, 16866 Livorno, sold for $1,500,000, 6,550 square foot lot. That'll be all flat. 2,700 square foot house was on it before. And last but not least, up there in Marquez Knolls, just listed 1127 Lockman Lane, and that's listed for $2,200. So that's going to probably have some views up there. 13,000 foot lot. Whew, that was a lot going on there. Okay, Marquez Knolls activity in the existing homes this week. 7 active listings, 13 have sold, 1's in escrow. And just listed 1341 Charmel Place, listed for $3,600. What do you get? 2,250 square foot house. It has been updated. It does have a pool in there. I think they're saying maybe you can put a second story on and really get, capture the views there, because they're probably, not much from the way it is right now. Okay, this week's activity in the Highlands land listings, 16 active listings up there right now. 26 have sold since the fire, averaging $111 a foot. Wow. So we have 1 in escrow, and just listed 17798 Camino de Yatasto. Where's that? That's in the Palisades Country Estates, a guard-gated community. I love it in there. I have one coming on the market in there in about a month, so stay tuned. Okay, we have this one listed at $2 million, and this is a 28,000 square foot lot. It had a 3,200 square foot house on it. That 28,000, how much is flat? Probably maybe half. I don't think so. Maybe a little less than half. Anyway, it's a beautiful location in there. And also just listed 1502 Paseo de Oro. This is one of those 3 streets in the Summit that are gated off of Chastain Parkway, the lower section. And I love it because it's gated. And this one the lot's only 4,900 square feet, but the house that was on it was 3,200 square feet, and it's listed at 1,198. All right. This week's activity in the Highlands existing homes, 12 active listings, 17 have sold, 2 are in escrow, and we have just sold 17193 Avenida de Santa Inés, sold for $1,755. This was a really unique property. It had the biggest garages I think I've seen in forever. I forget, there was like 5-car parking or something, and a big backyard. So it was a little kind of a unique property, but a good value. And it sold for $1,755, 3,000 square foot house on a 12, almost 13,000 foot lot. A lot of that was flat. Okay, this week's activity in the Sunset Mesa land listings, 11 active listings in there, including one I have on Ocean Hill, a shameless plug, I'm going to say. It's a great buy for $1,395. So we have just 25 have sold since the fire. One's in escrow, excuse me, and we have one just listed at 18449 Kingsport Drive, has listed for 1.7. Curiously, this sold in August last year for $1,350,000. So I don't know. Let's see what happens with that. And this week's activity in the Malibu Beach land listings, 34 active listings. Now that's the whole of Malibu Beach, okay? So going all the way up to county line. 21 have sold, one's in escrow, and we have just listed one at 19052 Pacific Coast Highway. This is going to be at Las Tunas Beach. It's a 29-foot frontage lot. That's how we kind of gauge these beach lots. It's the frontage, because the depth is only going to be, depending on what beach you're on, and that's how you're going to find out why is one more expensive than the other price per square foot. I should say front footage. This one's coming in at $75K. Which is probably not too bad. It's listed at 2.2, and it had previously had a 1,224 square foot house on it. Just listed at 21644 Pacific Coast Highway. Now this is in La Costa Beach. Now this is a higher grade beach, or it's a drier beach, wetter beach. There's more sand. That's why it's going to be more expensive. This is a 41-foot frontage, and it's coming in at $7.8 million, coming in at $190,000 or $190,000 a front foot, okay? The other one I just said was $75,000 a front foot. You can see the differential there. So we have one listed at 19108 Pacific Coast Highway. This is back at Las Tunas Beach. Now this is a 28-foot frontage, listed at $1,008,000. Look at this. $64,000 a front foot. This is the buy on the beach right now, okay? At least by my opinion. They had previously on it a 2165 square foot house, so that's not bad. You could probably add a little bit to that. And last but not least, 18912 Pacific Coast Highway has listed for $2,550. It is scratch that. It's listed for $3,250. Curiously sold in October last year for $2,550. It's a 30-foot frontage. And that's coming in at $108,000 a foot, front foot. So a lot of information in there, isn't there? So if you really want to understand it, call me and I'll explain it all in detail. So if you're looking to find your perfect property, you can see that I know the market inside and out. I can find you the best property for your needs. Or if you're thinking of selling, I know what it takes. I know all the players. I can put a deal together for the top dollar on your property. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.